ultimately unsuccessful campaign to win his old job back. Bruce Hawker, have you spoken to Kevin Rudd since this ballot, and how is he?
Well, I haven't spoken to him. We've had a bit of a text exchange, and he seemed to be in pretty good spirits, actually. He'd thanked all his supporters and staff, and I think, as evidenced by that press conference he did, he's in pretty good shape.
So unlike when he lost his job as Prime Minister, a lot of tears and emotion, not so much this time?
I don't think so. I think he was prepared for an outcome like this, whereas on the last occasion, of course, they came for him in the night and he didn't have any warning of it.
This time around, we heard a lot of differences about figures. You know, perhaps his support might be as high as 40 votes. Ultimately, 31 votes, not a lot, a bit less than a third of the Labor caucus. Is that disappointing?
Look, I thought it was a respectable result, but not a great result. If he'd got across the line, that would have been a great result, but he didn't.
Why wasn't his support stronger?
Well, I think in the week beforehand, a lot of high-profile ministers came out who hold a lot of sway inside the caucus and made it quite clear that they weren't going to work with him, and I think that probably had an effect on a number of waverers. They didn't really like to see that level of disunity being displayed. Give him an endorsement after
But he
Simon
chose to
Creener.
contest the ballot.
He did, and I think it was the right and proper thing to do. Everybody knew that there was some unfinished business there. Perhaps now it is finished. He still remains very popular in the community. In fact, his popularity in the recent news poll today, in fact, is in direct inverse proportion to the number of votes he received in the ballot. He got about 70% approval rating as against 30% of the votes.
Now, Bruce Hawker, you just said perhaps now it is finished. Is it over for Kevin Rudd? He was saying today that he doesn't hold any grudges, he bears no one any malice, he's pledged his support to Julia Gillard. But is that the end to his political ambitions?
Well, he's made it quite clear that he's not going to challenge. He said that before he put his hat in the ring, and he said it again after the ballot today. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to refuse to challenge again. He made it clear.
But of course that leaves open the prospect that he could be drafted if things go down the tubes for Labor.
Well, I guess there are all sorts of scenarios you can consider, but he's not going to put the party through the sort of thing that we saw in the last week where, he was just bombarded with negativity by people inside the party who frankly should have known better, who achieved short-term gain for questionable long-term gain.
What do you now say to Labor MPs who were calling on Julia Gillard to resign?
Oh, well, I was one of the people that was saying that she shouldn't contest the leadership, and I think that was done with the greatest of respect and with a view to getting the best possible result at the next election. When you see the sorts of polling we've got at the moment, low 30s, you see the sort of popularity that he has, my view was that if we really want to support all the achievements of this government from 2007 through Julia's period, the best thing to do would be to get the most popular leader for the next election, because the real enemy for Labor is Tony Abbott.
But the Labor Party has chosen not the most popular leader. They've backed Julia Gillard, and by no small margin. So that would seem to suggest that they feel very differently to someone like yourself.
They do. It's clear. Well, certainly a lot of the people that control the numbers inside the Labor Party feel very differently to me. I mean, I've always been one intent on winning at the next election.
So can Labor win at the next election?
I think we can, but it's going to be much harder because we've said twice now to the Australian electorate, you don't want our preferred Prime Minister in Kevin Rudd.
Julia Gillard said today that she said that she believes she can win the next election, that she will take Labor to that election. She's confident that she can win. Saying it doesn't make it so. What does she need to do in order to ensure a Labor victory? Well,
I think everyone needs to try to pull behind her now. This has been a very divisive, short period of time for the Labor Party, but we're an old party. We've been around a long time. We do need to get behind her. That's one of the first things that has to be done, and Rudd's committed to doing that. Secondly, I think we have to sell the carbon tax a lot better, and not just the tax, but the compensation package that's going to come from it. That's about ready to be rolled out. The public has to understand with that they're going to be compensated fully for their exposure as a result of the price on carbon that the big polluters are going to pay.
In the midst of this bitter leadership battle, though, Labor's primary vote did rise to 35%, the latest news poll that was out today. That's a 12-month high. So surely that is encouraging proof that even without Kevin Rudd, that the Labor Party vote can tick up.
Yeah, well, it could be, and I thought that was a rather encouraging sign, although unfortunately for the Prime Minister, her personal vote or support did drop to a 6-month low. However, we'll just wait and see how things go. I've been consistently saying from, for some months now that the real challenge is to get the vote up into the 40s. And if this is the start of a trend upwards, then it wouldn't have mattered if Kevin Rudd had got 50 votes. The caucus would have said we've vindicated. The test is going to be whether we can maintain any sort of a trend with that news poll result today.
A final question about Kevin Rudd. Do you expect him to remain as a backbencher up until the next election? And beyond that, do you expect him to contest the seat of Griffith again, or perhaps set his sights on something else outside politics, an ambassadorship, for example?
Well, he's made it quite clear that he is going to stay in the Parliament and he's going to recontest Griffith. So we would expect him to remain as a parliamentarian for a long time, and I don't think he's going to be making a re-entry into the cabinet between now and the next election.
All right, Bruce Hawker, thank you very much for coming in once again.
Thank you.